Role-playing game players come in all stripes and colors, but the one thing they all have in common is that they love to talk about their characters. So I decided to create a podcast where players are invited to talk about the one thing they love to talk about most. And I call it, Tell Me About Your Character. This episode, Kyrinn S tells us about her favorite character, a Gamma World-inspired anime-tinged Greyhawk character. And if that description sounds mysterious, well, you haven't heard her origin yet.
Hey Steve, how are you?
Hey, thanks for joining me. Why don't we start with you telling me a little bit about your gaming history? What got you interested in gaming?
Okay, my older sister ended up buying the Moldvay basic box. She read it. She said, it's too complex for me. I think you might enjoy it. And that was it. Since then, I've played lots of things. It was a lot easier to have been an accomplished gamer in so many different games back when there weren't so many. But in like the last 10 or 15 years, there's just been an explosion of games. So prior to that point, I'd probably played the majority of the better-known ones.
Do you have a favorite system or a favorite style of game?
I'm definitely more sci-fi, like anything from, I would say, modern to post-apocalyptic to sci-fi, much more so than fantasy.
Okay. Do you have a favorite character that you played that stands out in your mind?
The one that I like the most, I didn't really get to play her very often, but this is kind of a funny story. A fellow GM friend of mine was taking his game, which I'd actually created the setting for and then handed it off to him. And he was kind of taking it from a post-apocalyptic slide from like modern day into something more fantastical. And so I had a character who was very Gamma World influenced. Okay. But then he wanted her to also have some levels in a D&D class, so that way it would jive better with his game rules. So she ended up being a mutant character who was crawled out of a vat in some sort of a production facility. And she looked at the symbols but didn't know what they meant, and stumbled around through the post-apocalyptic landscape. And finally she found some large structure with all sorts of strange vehicles and skeletons around her. So when she wandered in, she found an artificial intelligence theater AI. And this was her first interaction with any other kind of mind. So this theater AI interacted with her as best it could, given its very limited programming. So it basically told her that it could show her anything in its library. And she wanted to know the thing that was most recent. And so it showed her something that I said was Battle Angel Valkyrie, which was kind of similar to an anime title at the time. Mm-hmm. So she liked it a lot. And this was kind of like nerve induction VR. And so she was just lying in this dark room with all of these other beds, a lot of them occupied by skeletons. And she just kept watching this over and over and over again, learning how to speak, how to read, how to interact with other people, and of course, how to become a hero. So once she understood the basics, she started watching all of the other presentations that the AI had, and gained a much broader understanding of reality, as well as mistaking unreality for aspects of the pre-collapse world. So that was her background. And so this guy Scott said, okay, so what class do you want? I said, well, given the way that she is, she should probably be like a paladin. He's like, yeah, I was afraid of that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So he gave me, I don't know, I think I cautioned him. I said, she already has like over 80 hit points. In Gamma World, that's pretty easy to come by. So he said, yeah, don't worry about it. So I think she ended up with something like 100 or 110 hit points. And she had high enough level in first edition AD&D to get the benefits of the saving throws and all this other crazy stuff, plus her mutations. So I debuted the character. It is coming to a crescendo in his setting. It's really transitioning from this crazy thing over to Greyhawk. And we are fighting some bad guys in a house, and they are relatively low-tech. Some of the PCs have, maybe some firearms or something. And my character just has a Duralloy rod. That's the only weapon she uses. And she's there, and she's just kind of waiting, and it's starting to kind of sour. I said, do you guys need some help? And they're like, yeah, we're waiting for you to jump in. I'm like, well, okay, I didn't want to glory hound, right? So she just says, like, we need you to stop your hostilities and turn yourselves over to justice. I cannot vouch for the safety of these people, but, you do have to answer for your crimes. And they're just like, no, right? So something happens, somebody casts some sort of a fire spell, and the place starts going up in a blaze, and the big bad is upstairs, and my character's like, well, do you have any means of, dealing with this? And they're like, no, the only thing we have would probably fan the flames. What about you? I'm like, no, not really, but I can go and get them. And they're like, well, the whole place is in flames. I'm like, yeah, no, don't worry about that. If you really want this person, oh yes, absolutely, okay. So my character starts walking up a flight of stairs, which are burning, and the game master's like, I'm doing like 3d6 fire like every round. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So she ends up like taking something like 70 points of fire damage by the time I get up there.
Ouch.
Grab the guy, we have a fight, and I let him strike first, that way he felt better about it. And then I think I whack him in the leg and break his leg or something like that. And then as we're walking back down the stairs and he's taking more damage from the fire, they finally collapse, and I'm brought to like 9 or 10 hit points. And when I hand them over, they're just like, why did you keep him alive? And they just kill him like right then and there. I'm like, well, I didn't know what your legal system was like. So they're just looking at my character, and they're like, we don't have a lot of potions. I'm like, no, it's all right, don't worry, I regenerate. And they're just like, well, we don't know you, and I don't think there's a place for you in where this thing is going, but, thanks for your help. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm just going to wander the wasteland. I'll see you guys later. So that was about it. And the whole punchline was that they asked her, what is your name? I said, Gene Strain B.
Nice.
Because that's what was on the vat that she had crawled out of. So now the mystique of Gene Strain B is kind of like, it has rippled 2 or 3 levels past the people that I know.
So that's it. She showed up for basically a one-shot and then rode off into the sunset?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I've had her meet some other people, but, I always try and keep her really subdued so that way she's not like glory hounding or like a Deus Ex Machina or anything like that. They normally don't even know what's going on. And then once she leaves, that's when I tell them the story. And they're like, oh, we could have used her. Yeah, I know. Generally, just have her show up as like an NPC, but not a GM NPC powered thing or anything.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking time to tell us about her. Do you have anything to plug? What are you working on?
Oh, it's the Encounter Critical edition of Urutsk World of Mystery, which is the big setting I've been working on for most of my life. I've released 2 thin volumes, and some people have had some experience with it at conventions, but this is the whole kit and caboodle, and it's currently just over 300 pages with art and everything.
No? Where can people find that?
Still not out, but should be dropping sometime this year.
Do you have a news site for it, or should people follow you on Google or Twitter?
My blog is The Grand Tapestry, and it's a blogger site. Grand Tapestry, one word.
Okay. All right, well, Kyrinn, thanks for your time, and hope you have a good day.
All right, thanks. You too.
Sure. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been Tell Me About Your Character. Listeners are free to distribute this recording as long as credit is given to tellmeaboutyourcharacter.com and as long as interviews remain unmodified. Our theme song is Remix Safety Guide by Rokovaco and Love Shadows. You can find more information, including links to the original recording, at tellmeaboutyourcharacter.com.